Now it's recording. Okay, now great. So now it's recording, so you can watch later on. So the Android Studio is based on IntelliJ, okay? You have also, if you want to download IntelliJ and put Android Studio there, you can also, okay? And I'm going to start a new project, okay? A first Android project. Okay, we have a lot of different applications that we can also for wearables, TV on automotive. You could also have the same application with different versions inside of it that work different on phone, tablets, wearables, TVs, automotive stuff. Okay. We have here, we can choose templates, okay? They don't have very cool templates as we could have, like, for example, if you work with Ionic, that you can develop application for Android and iOS, you have, okay? But you can have starter places, okay? We have, I'm going to teach most basic on activities, but you can have also based on compose. That's the new, and I'm going to show probably on the last class how you could use also that, okay? I'm going to choose the empty activity as the simplest one, okay? So we can keep it simple before, okay? Then I'm going to press next here. And then you put the name, my first application. Also, to help you out, let's put here my Dropbox book, Guide France, new folder, master 2022. Great. I want to have a new one. My first app. Kotlin, yeah, Java. You have two languages, okay? Probably I'm going to concentrate more on Java with you guys, okay? If that's no problem. If you want, I also have the same material also in Kotlin, but I'm going to work with Java. I think you have more, since you are more from engineering side, I think the probably would be better for you. You have more platform, more stuff in Java than on Kotlin. And here, minimum SDK. We can choose what SDK is the minimum device that you want. You have here also, help me choose, that you can see based on the version or how it will run, okay? So, for example, here I have the Marshmallow. It will run probably on 96% of all the devices, okay? We can choose later one. Probably everything that we look here, Marshmallow is good enough for us, okay? So I'm going to choose Marshmallow. Yes. Okay, and here on the side, you have everything that's new about this version, okay? This I want use legacy, okay? Why is that? It has like some libraries that we're going to use, have play service and Jetpack libraries. That's not part of the native SDK, but they put as plugins. They decide that some libraries, some new stuff, they put on this Jetpack library and also on play service, okay? Let me change it here to be, okay? So Java and then finish. Normally, first time that you run, you're going to take some time, okay? Why is that? It has like a Gradle service here, Gradle building. The Gradle is kind of like a package manager that you can have a a code for you to say what needs to download in order for this project to run. That way you can later put, like, for example, on GitHub, Git, and other persons can download and use the same code as you. You don't need to install everything. They have the same thing. Android Studio deal with that, right? It's downloading a lot of stuff, okay? So let's wait a couple of seconds for it to download everything. While it's doing that, just for you to show you, normally here on the left, you have the files. On the middle, you have the code. And on the right, you have the device manager. Normally, is where your emulator is going to be. Okay, you can run on the real device, but on the real device, Android doesn't allow developer access by default on the phone. So you need to press some place, I think 7 times, so you to enable it. Okay, yeah, and there are a lot of options. Here for me, it compiled it, okay? So, for example, Gradle scripts you have here saying it needs this version of the application and the library, and also needs to compile with SDK 32. The minimal SDK also keep it here, okay? What version I'm target, what the version code, and the version name. Okay, why the version code and version name? If you're going to work with application, you're going to put on Google Play, you release a new one. You need to know which version it is, so if it needs to update or not. Also, you have here the build phases, the compile option, and here the dependencies. Okay, we can also use Gradle to do what? To download all the projects or the libraries. Okay, to put it here. For example, if you want to use a Firebase, for example, for putting stuff for login or to send SMS, for example, to send push notification to the user. You're going to use Firebase. That's also from Google, and normally also have a lot of libraries for Android. You're probably going to put another implementation here for it to download it automatically when you start the application. Okay. But most of our time, we are going to spend our time here on the code, here Java, or on the resource. But before look into that, we also have the manifest. The manifest has the size of the screen is good for you, or do you want to bigger the font size? It's fine. It's fine. A little bit bigger, yeah, because you're on the back, a little bit on the back. Let's see. I don't know if let's see. Just let's see. Oh, okay. This fine? Yes. Okay. Okay. So the manifest file. What the responsibility is the file that you download the new application from Google Play. The first thing it's going to do is read this file. So you need to know everything about the application. You need to know the name of the application, the icon, the content, the theme, the activities. What are activities? Every screen on Android is one activity, normally. Okay, so we are going to develop here one screen, one application with one screen. Just going to have one activity that's going to call it main activity. Okay. Exported to. What means this activity exported? We can have activities that can be accessed outside our application or just inside. This one is accessed outside. What it means? You can press the icon of this application and it will open. Okay. It can also put a link inside of it. You can have, like, for example, application for a store. You could have deep links, application deep links. What did it mean, deep link? you could, like, for example, you are research Amazon, for example, on Google Chrome, and Amazon asks for you to download the Amazon application. Okay, if you download the application, then when you get on the application, it goes to the same link that you were before. You have like the deep link. It's like a technology for it. Okay, so every screen that you want to be accessed outside needs to be true. And we have also intents. What's intents? Intents are like kind of like intentions. Okay. For example, I want to use the camera. You're going to create intent to open the camera. Oh, I want to go to this first screen to a second screen. Also create intent to do that. Okay. This intent to say what? This is the main activity and the launcher one, the one that begins the application. So only one can be like this. So you can create another one, can change if you want with this intent filter. Okay. This is the manifest. And normally here also we put what? Permissions of our application. We are just going to go use permission later on when you're going to access a web service. You're going to access a website and get some information from outside your application. Just for you to deal with, work with data external and also to work with permission. And most of the time you're going to work with what? With the Java file. That here is one activity. So extends on an app compact activity. And with the layouts. We have here on the resource. Here, all the resource that I put here, it goes to the application, the APK. So everything that you put here is going to go there. Okay. So we have here doubles. Doubles are what? XML that use one XML language to do what? To say how you could draw an image. Normally, images, we have two types of images, two categories of images. Normally, most what they use to JPEG, PNG, and that kind of stuff is what? It says for every pixel of the image what color it is. And we have vector images. That's pretty much kind of like this one that you will define how the image draws itself. So vector image is good for what? You can have only one image and work in multiple sizes because you can, since it knows how to draw itself, you can change its size and you won't get blur or the effects that you can have. If you have like a small image and you put bigger, you can't have defects on that. Okay. And with this double, it creates these mip maps. Oh, this mip maps is the image itself of the icon that use this WebP. That's a new image. You have here also values for colors, strings, and themes. Okay. We can also create themes for dark mode, night mode, and day mode. Okay. Colors that you're going to use, because it's a good practice also to define the colors, a palette of colors, and use with your whole application. For example, all my buttons will be like purple 17. So use all your buttons the same color. So you don't change it. It's a good practice, design practice, okay? And also here the string file, okay? That probably the best thing is for you to put all the strings, all the text that you're going to have, that's going to appear to the user, put it here. Why is that? Because you can have what? You can open editor and put on many different languages. Okay, so it's easier for you to translate. But for now, we are going to work with here the layout that we have here. What? The interface builder. Okay, the interface builder help us build our interface. For now, it just have here hello world. Okay. Here on the left here, we have the palette. We have all the components that come with Android, all the native components. We can create our own components and even put it to appear here, okay? You could download others to put on a project, okay? But during the course, we're probably just going to work with the one that already exists. Here we have the component tree that has all the components that you can have hierarchy inside of them. Everyone is a view, and you can have view with child views, okay? So for example, when you work with a list, we have a list that has items, that has childs on it, okay? Here on the left, on the right, we have the properties of the component that we are choosing, okay? And here on the middle, we can see a little preview of how it's going to look like, okay? If you don't want to go with design, you could work that with the code, the XML code, okay? So actually, what you're seeing is this code here. And you could actually see the code with the screen if you prefer to work with XML directly, okay? Normally, what's the best way for you to do it? Work with design here, drag and drop is easier. If normally you have like error or something like that, moving to code probably is easier for you to fix errors. Okay. Okay. To test, we have here play. Let me just I already have this. Let me delete this one so I can create a new one so you can see. Okay, delete it. So we have here the device manager here. You could also now pair device using Wi-Fi. You don't need to, if they have both on the same network, you can use, okay? But you're going to go here, device manager. Or if you press play, also normal, no, it doesn't. And also we have here on the left, device manager. If you have a physical one that's connected, normally appears here, okay? Or you can pair it using Wi-Fi. But let's create virtual. Normally, what I recommend, if you don't have a very powerful computer and you have a real device, it's better for you to work with a real device because the emulator is really, really heavy because they really created the whole operating system. So it gets a lot of memory and that kind of stuff, okay? So create device. Normally, I try to pick up one that's not very powerful one, like Pixel 2. I think it's good enough for us. Two. You could also import hardware profiles. Oh, I'm going to work direct with Samsung or something like that. You could also download from Samsung. Okay. Next. You can download here the version that you want. Okay, the version of API. I'm going to choose the R version because I already have downloaded. Okay. But normally I try to work with the version that's RS because SV2 and 33 are not still on beta, I think. Okay, so R I think is good enough for us. Next, if not, you need to download it. Probably you're going to need to download it. And it's 1 GB. I don't going to use R here, okay? And then you can change the name of it. One thing just that I normally put is what? Here, camera, emulate in front, latency, speed, network. Normally, I put here cold boot. Why is that? Quick boot, what it does? When you closes this, it's going to create like a snapshot of everything that's open. So it's faster to open again. But it's not as good because sometimes you think you're going to have the latest version of your application you don't have. So to avoid problems, normally I recommend to have cold boot. And then finish. So it's going to create. Also, one thing that I recommend about having the real device, because size on this increase really, really fast, okay? So now I can play here and take this off. I'm probably going to appear here on the emulator.
I'm already created in these versions. So
It's already created?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can use that. Yes, what version did they create already?
Pixel 3.
Pixel 3?
Like, I'm 64 for This is all
Okay. Oh, so let me create also a Pixel 3 so we have the same version there.
And you do cold boot, right?
Cold boot, yes. Only change that I made.
Okay, I changed that.
So I changed to Pixel 3 as well, okay. XL or Pixel 3? 3A. 3A. I has a different, why is someone called 3 and 3A? Okay, no. So R, that's okay. And that here just change to advanced and cold boot. Also can change like skin definition. You could create like external card and that kind of stuff.
I'm not sure if that.
I think that doesn't change, I think. So let's now play. So when you start with AVD is the Android virtual device. So we start, no, didn't start it. Start. Oh, it's not running. Let's run again. So installing. And now we have hello world. So we have our first application. And we didn't need to do practically anything at all, right? So one thing that we have here, since we have one thing that's was good about developing with iOS and not with Android is what? iOS have like standard sizes of the phone. But they start messing nowadays because they have like SE and they have like the XL. They start creating a lot of versions. And Android doesn't have like standard at all. So one thing that we can do is what? Here, we can choose what size we want to deal here in the screen. Okay, so for example, we can use the same one that we are used for the virtual device. So the virtual device, Android virtual device, I'm going to choose the same one. So I have the same look and feel that I'm the one that I'm testing. Okay. One other thing that we always try to do, we have here view options. On view options, we have here show system UI. Why is that? You have the same look and feel as you have there because you always have the bottom buttons. Normally, you always have. You can take this off. If you only depends on application. Normally, games do that, but normally applications try to keep that field. Because before the first version of Android, I don't know if you have seen, but it had physical buttons for this. And also have like a search button that no one uses because back then because it was for you to I even have voice, but voice was not very good, Google Voice back then. Nowadays it's kind of good, but back then no. Also here you could put like, for example, margins, fade, but no. Here you can put auto connection to parts, so it has automatic connection between the views, but I'm not going to do that. Here we could put margins. Normally, it's not good practice to do what? To have components that the user can touch or even have information on the on the edges of your application. Why is that? Some phones even have like the edges kind of like this. You have like, it has like a little fold. So it's not very good practice to have that. It looks pretty on the phones like that, of course, but it doesn't have much use, right? But here you can clear all the constraints. Why is that? For example, I'm going to clear all the constraints. Okay. So what does this mean? Here, I don't know if you noticed, before we have like little lines that were blues. Now, if I play again, let's see. It was on the middle, right? I'm going to play it again. Installing. Now you see, even though it's on the middle, it's on the top left. Why is that? The constraints, it's know where to be placed. Okay. So if I place it here, it doesn't matter. What matters is the constraint that it has. Okay. It's kind of like say how to position this component. If I don't put constraints, always on the top left. So I want to put on the middle. So we have here constraints for positioning. You can have a position to the left, put to the top, and you could like place like 84 dp to the left and 112 to the top. It uses what? It's called density pixels. Okay, not pixels itself. Normally pixels what? Every image, every phone, every device that has a screen, normally it divides in like little squares, very, very small, that has a column on it. Okay, and how you place objects and everything. Okay, but Android use density pictures because, let's see if I have here the screen of density pictures. Where it is? Where it is? Here. Because what? Sometimes you can have pixels that are not really pixels. Okay, it can be placed on more than one. So we have the same look and feel to have what? For example, if I use pixels, you have the same size of the image. If you put in a high density device, it will be really small. So you don't have the same look and feel that you want for your user. If you use DP, you probably can't keep the same look and feel for your user. That's why they use density pictures. Okay. So we can place it on a specific. Okay. And if you drag and drop here, it changes, okay, the place and change the constraint itself. Okay. So now we see here that similar to the position that I have here. Okay. And you could have also to the right and to the left. Why do I put to the right, to the left? It can keep on the middle or as a percentage. Okay. As a percentage between the right and the left. Okay. Instead of a hard number here. We could also, instead of using it here, use here as attributes. Okay. Here we have here the same attributes. So here 49 here as a percentage of the size. Okay. And you can put also to the bottom. Okay. It can be put hard as a specific number, but normally you don't want to use specific numbers. You want to use as percentage. Why is that?
Because different phones have different.
Yes, because it'll be easier. Because you place, oh, this button here will be 10% from the top. So you know that you have the rest 9% for other stuff. So it'll be easier if you work on mobile phone of this size or this size. Okay. So normally to change, you press here. I don't know why it didn't change. Oh, I need to put here 0, 0 and 0. Okay. Also, you can have here a CS color blind mode. Okay. You have because a lot of person have color blindness. They don't see a lot of color. They don't see all the colors, and sometimes they see color different and as most people. And you have also here blueprint. Okay, the blueprint is kind of like what it says. A blueprint. It sometimes you have what? You can have components that are invisible, so you cannot see here. Maybe you have a button that's just visible after you press another one. Or maybe you can have one component that's on the top of the other. So blueprints help you out on that. Okay. I normally, most of my application, I just put here on design and I'm good to go. But maybe you need the blueprint sometimes. Okay. Also here you can change to landscape and portrait if you want to work. Or maybe you want to create a layout for the car dock, something that happens on the VR set. You can do that also, okay? Because if you want, you can have for the same screen, you could use percentage, so work on different device, but you could also create like variations. For example, when it's on landscape, have another layout. Okay. Kind of like, for example, I think Gmail, I think, does that, where it has like a sandwich menu, and when you put on landscape, it has all the emails here, and the bigger one have the big email, the one that's open. Also here you can put night or not night mode, and here the version of Android, and what activity does it work here, okay? Okay, so we create here text view. Okay, you can change also here a lot of properties here, okay? We can change, for example, the font. Let's see the size. Font. And I'm not selected. If I'm not selected, it's on constraint layout. For example, the text hello world. And we have here text appearance. I could change, for example, to have it large. So it got bigger. Okay. And you change also the text size. You could change the font family. You have the one that comes from Android, and you could also put on your application your custom fonts if you want. Okay. Normally, people that work with design are very they like fonts a lot. Also, the alignment, if you want bold or not, you could change the properties of it. And after change, you could see on the emulator. Okay. I'm going to, and here we have the palette. We have here for text, for example. So I'm going to create here one that here, the ones that you have here, text view, you don't have the line besides. Why is that? All the other ones are edit text ones. But why do we have all these different types of edit text? Because we have different types of inputs the user can put. For example, plain text. When the user tries to type one, let's put it here just for us. Here the text. When you open the full keyboard. If you want the password, you're probably going to open one that user puts the password. And also when the user types here, it appears asterisks instead of the thing that is putting. Like email, you put at here to facilitate. Sometimes you put .com to facilitate the email. Time, you open like to choose the time. So you help your user because inputting on phones is not as good as on the keyboard. So I'm going to put here also. No, actually, let's delete this here and this here. Also constraints, you can have put constraints that not just between the component and the screen, but you could put between components. For example, I put this edit text and I put on the bottom of this hello, and I'm going to say that's on the middle of this hello world. So it's a difference between them. Okay, so all the constraints of this edit text is from hello world. So now when I change the hello world, the edit text also change. So sometimes it's easier for you to do something kind of like that. Okay, I could put also just for to be on the middle and not on the top. Okay. Okay. Something that we have here. So I'm going to change this code on the Java code. Okay. Here we have the Java code. Here the XML from the design. Okay. The Java code. We have here a function, a method that's called when the activity is created. Okay. When it's created, it calls the superclass with the saved instance state. Why is that the superclass with saved instance state? Your phone, most old phones, you receive a phone call before. It end up without memory. You could like close your application, and when you restart, you deceive your user thinking that it was already open because it was on the background. But sometimes it needs the memory. So it saves your application and it will go back on. So the save instance state is stuff that you're going to save if you open another one. Okay. And most important, set content view. Set content view. Say to do what? Put the content view that's r.layout.activityMain. What this mean? To go to resource folder, go to the layout and find this activity main. So it's saying to put this XML here. So we have this screen when we start your application. So after this, just after we set the content view, we can change stuff. But how we get from the XML code to here? Like, for example, I want to change stuff on the edit text. I'm going to do what? What do I need? I need here edit text. For example, it has here a property called ID. This ID, how we are going to communicate between them. This is the identification of this edit text here. Okay. I'm going to call it number edit text. Then I'm going to press enter, and you're going to ask for refactor it. I'm going to refactor. Now the ID is number edit text. Now on the Java code, let's just see how it is, just for you to. It will appear probably this name here. Here, name, and when I press, I can change the name. But now I want to pick up here. So I'm going to get the same component, edit text. This is the class name. I'm going to call it number edit text, just like all there. And I'm going to get it from the R class. So I'm going to call this function here, find view by ID. And I'm going to pass the ID that I just put there, number the text. Now I have the component here in the code, and I can change properties from it. Okay. So now I can do like, for example, number the text, set text to 0. So now it's show here 0 instead of name. Okay. But this only happens once on the creation of the application. Okay. So if I change it here, it doesn't go back on. Okay. And also I'm going to create here a button. So we have a lot of types of buttons. Okay. Normally, the most common one is the normal button. But you also have float to actual button. Normally, the button that put it here. Okay. We have three types of toggle buttons. It have the same thing. One is the checkbox. This is similar to this that has on and off, and this switch one. Pretty much on and off, true or false. Okay, it has two states. But now I'm going to work with the button. That you have also the image button that you can put an image on it. So I'm going to put here the button. I'm going to put a constraint to the bottom of this edit text. And I'm going to put a constraint to the left and one to the right. Okay. The idea, I'm going to call it add one button. I'm going to refactor. Also, I'm going to change the text here to add one. Yeah, I'm going to having what? Warning and errors on the layout, okay? Today, we're not going to look into that, okay? But tomorrow, we are going to see how we solve that and how we work with that, okay? So we have a button, we have the constraints, and we have here the ID, okay? We have two forms that we could use to create what normally you have on a button. What we want to do. We can want to like change the text here, change the properties, but most thing that we want to do, when the user press the button, something happens. Okay. So we're going to create what? A function on our Java code that when you press here, something happens. Okay. So let's create this function. So the function needs to be public. Void. Let's see. Add one button pressed. And he receives a view. The view is what? Is the button itself. Normally it receives here as a parameter of the function. Okay. Every component that it's here on the screen, it's inherited from view. Okay. The view is the father. Okay. That has the basic properties of an object that will appear on the screen, like positioning, like the constraints. Okay. So now I created here this add one button pressed. And now here on the property of the button, if I here on click, it appears here, add one button pressed. Okay. But it needs to be exactly like this with a view here. If I take this off and for example, save it, here on click, should not appear. Probably, I think you need to probably refresh or something like that. Okay. on click, add one button press. So now when the user press it here, it goes to this function here. So what do I want to do? Like the name says, add one. I'm going to get the content of this edit text, add one, and put back as +1. So it keeps 0, the percent I press, add 1, put here 1. Okay. So already have here the number here. Okay. So I'm going to. Oh, here I put as a local variable. Okay. So it only lives inside here on create. Okay. I'm going to change this. I'm going to refactor to be on variable of the class and take this off here. So I can use the same object here, define view by here, and could use again here. Okay, so it's easier since I'm using more than one place. Okay, now I can get the text and change it to string. Okay, so now I need to do what? Change it from text to an integer or float. Maybe I want to work with float. I'm going to work with an integer. That's easier. So int num equals integer parseInt that receives a string. So this will receive the 0 here, for example, as a string, and then change to a int. Because with text, I cannot do mathematical operations, and with int, I can do. Then I'll do num++, that will increase 1. Now I need to do what? This only happens with this variable integer. But on the edit text, it still shows 0. So I need now to change it from number edit text. So I'm going to do number edit text dot set text and value of. Oops. Why are you doing this to me? Value of no. Let's see what happens now. So 0, add 1, add 2, 3, 4. Okay. So far, any questions? Okay. This one? Okay. This one, what we're going to do? We are getting the edit text is a component that's showing visually on the screen. Is this component here? Okay. We are going to we're doing what? We are getting the text from it. This is not other type of object. So you convert to string that you know how to work. It's a text. So it goes to like this. S on the beginning, 0. Okay. So S equals a string 0. If I do 0 plus 1, you cannot do that because this is a text and this is a number. Okay. So on the second line, I'm saying pick up this text here, X, and convert to a number. So it puts here num equals 0 as a number. Then I do num++, that do 0 plus 1. So now num equals 1. And then I put it back so the user can see the change. Because we copy the information to another variable, then we need to put it again to the user. Okay? Yes. So to see if it's really okay, I'm going to pass a little exercise to you. That's based on this one here, okay? I want you to create one simple calculator, okay? So how is it going to look like? I'm not very good at drawing, but bear with me. Calculator. So it's going to have edit text for here, or you can put on the top of the screen, no problem. So we're going to have here num1, and then one the text. Num2, another the text. Then 4 buttons for the 4 common operation: plus, minus, times, and division, and then result. So if the user put here 3, 2 plus, here appears 5. Okay? So I'm going to give like the rest of the class for you to try to do it. Probably just the beginning, then I'm going to I'm going to do with you. So you're going to I recommend you to try it. So if you have doubts, you can take with me tomorrow, okay? Okay, let me.
Sir, can you share this video?
Yes, I'm going to stop sharing. Now I'm going to stop recording. Stop.